morning and welcome to our BOLL Morning Session on email security and FortiMail. Unfortunately, this event has to be done online, but I think this has no impact of the interesting part of the session. My name is Bachir Ghoubali, and I'm working as a sales engineer and team lead in the Fortinet team at BOLL Engineering. With me is Philip and Bachir from Fortinet, and they will lead through the session. And I will hand over to Philip for an introduction, and then we can start with the session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rudy. It's always a great pleasure to be presenting to you what is specific about Fortinet Value proposal for mail security. So I'm in charge of cloud security business development for Switzerland. And Bachir, maybe you can present yourself quickly.
Yes, so I'm a consultant system engineer for email security, so that covered the FortiMail and the FortiFish recently. So I'm covering email security for the region Europe, Middle East, and Africa, where we have a very, very good traction now. Yeah.
And you're based in Switzerland, which is
exactly yes. You are now in the Bern office, so the headquarters of Fortinet Global.
That's very nice. Thank you, Bachir. So the good news is we have you very close by. So that's great for you as a partner. So again, very welcome. So we have a busy agenda today. We can obviously go through everything or cover more some aspects of it. I would say there is a bit of a sales pitch at the beginning, which is item 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And then we go more in depth into the feature, the solution, the deployment model, and how to take benefit of FortiMail. And then we have demo and Q&A. Maybe we'll use the chat because we don't have a huge audience. So what I'd like to understand is if you would like more or less of a sales pitch so that we can adjust the time between myself and Bachir. Yeah, so maybe you can put a chat if you want more technical aspects and tell us what you would like to get, and then we will account for this into the time split, I would say. Yeah, so if you're not into sales pitch, then I don't want to consume too much of your time. If you want to deep dive right away into the online mode deployment, then yeah, we can also tackle this. Yeah, so let's do that. We'll check the chat, and maybe Rudy, you can do a quick summary of the input into the next 2 minutes, and then we get started. Yeah, in the next 1 minute. Yeah, if you could put your comments there, and then we just balance the agenda and we get started. Okay, the agenda is quite long, so we have quite a lot of things to cover. We will cover also the competitive aspects. You know, how do we position to the key competitor? How do we also complement to Microsoft 365 email security, and how do we integrate also through the APIs to the of Microsoft 365. So that's also quite key into this presentation. And then we have a demo as always, to make sure that you can grasp the FortiMail benefits in terms of usability, in terms of key user interface, which are very interesting also in key features. Okay, so any feedback from the chat, Rudy already?
Now sales positioning between one moment. Sales positioning between hardware perpetual model versus VM subscription is one theme, and possible add-ons on each of this version. It's things more sales pitch. Interesting for FortiMail subscription feature, additional needed FortiGuard a la carte services, license for FortiMail advanced MTA control settings for small VMs and appliances. Yeah, it's
okay. Good. So there's a lot of question about licensing. Yeah, so we will tackle this into point 3 or 4 then. Okay, good. Okay, very nice. Thank you. So let's get started. So the first thing about mail security is where it stands into our portfolio. So here we are talking about into the Fortinet fabric. We are talking about the cloud security pillar. And within the cloud security pillar, we are into the SaaS application protection, as email is considered obviously as an application. And we are providing here complete integration with this large ecosystem, obviously. So this is where we stand into the portfolio of Fortinet solution. Yeah, I just wanted to start with this so that you're familiar with the domain and why FortiMail is strategic for Fortinet, because it's one of the key pillars of the cloud security portfolio, yeah, key offering, I would say. So this is the high level positioning. Now, why customers are at risk, and this is information that you can use when you engage with your own customers. This is about the fact that email is the most prevalent attack vector, either from obviously phishing and ransomware. And the objective here, or pretexting, and the objective is really to spoil credential information or data, and then use this data against your customer. So this is also to deploy malware, obviously, that will create potential risk for ransomware. And this is something which is clearly, I would say, propagated through mail, as you see, either through attached file or email attachment or links, or direct install from the mail themselves. So these are the main exposure to customers through email delivery. And we have seen a huge increase into the phishing attempt year on year, and 10 or up to 15 times more social engineering related attack. And business email compromise attack has been also a huge increase into the past year. So we've seen not only ransomware and phishing, but also new type of attacks which are really exploding. Yeah, and in terms of the key aspects, obviously we are into URL based or content based, attachments based emails. All the three type of building blocks are also on the rise, and we will spend just 1 minute to explain, to illustrate what is a BEC, what is a business email compromise. So this is something which is really also accelerating. We see internal actors sending mails to key actors into a given company, and that is obviously all of that is false email. This is coming from social engineering. This is coming from spearfish mails, and there are obviously a lot of
I think we lost Philip.
Yes, that's right. Eventually has
current crisis.
Oh, okay.
You see,
we lost you.
You see my
we have lost you. You had a hiccup in the presentation.
Okay. Sorry for that.
You were in a business email compromise before.
Okay, I was just explaining the how critical the business email compromise now is, and how spread this is and how it works. And obviously there is a lot of social engineering now which is coming from any attack, and this is more and more difficult for an user to identify. So this is one of the key aspects about email attack right now. They are obviously ransomware is exploding, 10 times growth. So you have to make your end user and customers aware of these risks, and you have to help them protect their email forward. And right now, not to name it, but Microsoft 365 and Google Cloud are penetrating very quickly. We are expecting 71% of companies using these type of solutions worldwide. Obviously, in Switzerland, the percentage is growing also significantly. And as of these companies, most are using email native security controls. And that is clearly an additional risk to our view, and we will demonstrate that. Yeah, this is clearly the point. Email native SaaS security is not enough at the moment, and this is demonstrated from any independent measures, which is that here the SE Lab. You can see that here Microsoft 365 protection, the default protection is rated very low in terms of protection accuracy, protection, and tool accuracy in terms of email, phishing, and spam protection. So compared to other alternative solutions that are improving email security, like Perception Point, FortiMail, or Mimecast, you will see that the native cloud security is clearly way below. And that is the risk that your customers are taking. And obviously, Microsoft 365 is the most spread email solution at the moment across Europe. And as you see, most of the customer, we are talking here about about 34% plus the native controls, so 16 to 17%. So let's say 50% of the customer consider that their Microsoft 365 email security is good enough, and this is clearly the main risk that they are taking. Yeah, because it's not good enough. That's the challenge.
Yeah, but the idea is not to necessarily replace the security of Microsoft, and often there is a confusion in the message we have with partners, customers, when they say, are you looking at replacing them? Not necessarily. Yeah, the idea is to, I think, essentially to complement that, to fill in the gap where a lot of things are still going through. So Microsoft, we tend to say they are doing a good job, definitely, but there is still a gap there where things are going through and things can be really dangerous for the organization. And we see that really often into POCs when we ask the customers to go through a CTAP program, which is free, by the way, where they can see with their real emails which are coming into their mailboxes, that they are still a leftover, which the FortiMail can catch. So this is really the message. And here you are showing the SE Labs. So sometimes I hear that, yes, the SE Labs is from 2020. It's a kind of old, maybe. SE Labs actually is working now on a new report. So we are working together to see where we are staying. And so the idea is simple. They go into a room, you put your appliance, and they test it, and then they show you the report, and they tell you this is how you are positioning. So SE Labs, stay tuned. They are a little bit delayed, and there will be a new report very soon. So
yeah, great. Thank you, Bachir. That's you're right. We have this feedback sometimes that the data is a bit old, but yeah, it's not our fault. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, good. So we have that is obviously the introduction about why you have to help your customer improve their email security, the criticality, the risks, and the impact. Now, if I want to introduce a little bit FortiMail and what is FortiMail providing as a value proposal, and then we'll talk about how it positions itself to the competition and to the ecosystem. Yeah. So first, you want your customers to protect against the number one threat, which is the obviously inbound mails. Yeah. So that's about spam, which is a nightmare. That's about virus, malware, ransomware, phishing attack, business email compromise, BEC. So that is the number one threat vector, and that is the first, obviously, positioning of FortiMail. Then you want to protect against data exfiltration. You want to protect against accidental data disclosure. And that is obviously the second risk, which is to protect the company asset against either the malicious user or the unintended accidental issues that can arise quite frequently. And then you want to improve the control on email security. You can to get more visibility about your mail. You can to understand the controls. You have to put in place more security rules against mails and assess the gaps. And obviously, the next point is about the impact of any company out there about email outage. So you want to protect your customer against email outage. And last, this is about understand their overall security exposure, posture, protection on mail usage. So this is quite key. And as obviously Bachir said, we have a CTAP, which is an email security assessment survey that we have presented 2 weeks ago. So that's really good if you want to review that session. And we really encourage that you use email setup because you can already highlight to your customer the key risks. And then it's much easier to engage into the discussion on 1 to 5 in terms of how to help your customer. Yeah. Okay, so that's the use case, and that's where we are quite strong in protecting emails, I would say. Now, in terms of how it works, yeah, and how you can implement email security, maybe Bachir, it's maybe better I let you present the next 3 slides about how it works.
Yeah. So how it works, I think here we have to stay a little bit high level because in some cases it can be really, really complicated. But from a high-level perspective, if we look at the techniques, which can be anti-spam, antivirus, content, and so on, here we can distinguish the techniques which are based on known threats, things that we know. And those things that we know is because we have a distribution of FortiMail all around the globe. So we have a good, excellent base of customers. It can be in Switzerland, it can be in surrounding countries, it can be in Africa, everywhere. So we have those customers that are feeding us with some information on the incoming emails. So we have the customers, we have also the probes, which we partnership with some ISPs and so on. So that gives us a good overview, which FortiGuard is using to build both a database of information and also a database of packages that are loaded by all the FortiMail. So being an online service in nature, each FortiMail is going to use these threat intelligence provided by FortiGuard. So we know today, without threat intelligence, without real-time access to threat intelligence, we cannot have something which has a good catch rate. So that would be the first level, the known things. Then we have the standard techniques, the known techniques, which are the SPF, the KIM, the MARC. There's not much magic, but it helps to catch a good amount of bad emails. But I would say it's not much magic. The newsletter, Graymail, just shortly there, it's an engine that detects the valid newsletter. The idea with the newsletter is that they are disrupting. I'm getting a lot of newsletter because I have subscribed to forums, to hotels, or the hotel subscribe me to their offers and so on. So we can detect those valid newsletter and we can flag them. So the way the FortiMail works, it's a lot of policies which you can apply profiles, and the profile have actions. And one of the actions you can have on newsletter detection is to flag the mail as with a subject saying this is a newsletter. So this is really convenient. So we have been into the known things, and now we are moving slightly to the things that are not yet known. They are about to be known, which are generally catched by outbreak protection. So outbreak protection is a very powerful feature where when an email comes in and we have no indicator that this is a known email, we can still apply a suspicion criteria whereby we analyze the mail, and based on many conditions, we can say, oh, this email, maybe we can hold it a bit and retry to rescan it. And usually that works because we are fed by FortiGuard, which tells us or tell the FortiMail, look, this is definitely a bad mail. So we have outbreak for anti-spam, but we also have outbreak for antivirus. And for the antivirus, this is something we partnership with other providers, I would say, to build a cross database of hashes, whereby we can also put some weight on the things that we know to better detect the things. We have behavior analysis. This is also very powerful, where we can detect variation of spams. So I will generate a spam. It's known one, unfortunately, and to pass under the radar of the email gateway, I'm going to slightly modify it. I mean, obvious things are introducing spaces, changing names, putting in typos, and so on. And behavior analysis is capable of detecting those variations. To extend the security posture, we have a very powerful feature, which is called content disarmament reconstruction. So there we took the feature from the FortiGate, we embed it in the FortiMail, and the idea is to take a document, the attachment, and to disarm it. Simple. We have a Word doc or PDF. We can remove the link or make the link not clickable. We can remove the macro. We can also make read-only the active content. So really, really powerful, because we know we have many customers. They must work with attachments. This is their core working, and in governmental organization, this is often the case. Now we move on to things that are really causing, I think, the most damages, which is the impersonation, the cousin domain detection, and there we have engines that are capable of securing the organization people by using their display name, and also detecting the incoming emails that tend to buy domain which are close to what you are securing, right? So if I'm Fortinet and Fortinet is secured by FortiMail, of course, you might have an attacker which bought in the past, long past, a domain can be Fortinet, and send an email in the name of the CEO to our CFO and asking him for a document, right? So this is a cousin domain detection. And FortiSandbox, finally, this is really key. So the sandboxing is key today, as key as FortiGuard, I would say. You cannot have a proper email security without a sandboxing, and for us, this is the FortiSandbox. So really important then. And something we introduced, I would say 2 years ago, FortiIsolator. This is HiGap. This extends the security posture by converting the link into a redirect to a FortiIsolator, which means that when I'm browsing, I'm brought to a FortiIsolator, which can be in another country with a different IP. And my experience from a user perspective is the same, except that I'm like rendering a browser which is located in a different location. So a lot of things. Usually here the question is, it's a lot, it's maybe too much, and this is just really a subset of the things that we can do. FortiMail comes with some good practices, but also some good default profiles, which are, I would say, good in 80–90% of the cases. It needs some tuning, and then the FortiMail is usually good to go.
And that's why we need the partner, Bachir, yeah? Yes, because exactly, that is where we need to adapt the FortiMail to the customer needs, to the customer environment, and that is something we obviously can help you with the right assistance if you need any advice, yeah? Yes. Good, thank you very much. And then we have the outbound threat, which is a bit the same, yeah? It goes from the known to the unknown, so I'll let you also present that. Yes, the outbound tends to be something that we forget. Huh? The threat can also come from the inside. And here there are different problems with the outbound threat. First, and I've seen that just yesterday, it's blocklisting. So we have a customer somewhere in Africa, it's a bank, and they said we have been blocklisted. We have a FortiMail, but we have been blocklisted. I look into the configuration and they just don't filter the outgoing. So they were sending spams from the inside. So they have been mitigated and they were sending spams and there was nothing. So they have to wait until they basically get blacklisted. So we made a review and we enabled that. So this is one aspect. The other aspect is similar to the oncoming, right? So being
something being a source of spam, you can also be a source of malware. And there you find the key components, which are the FortiGuard labs, the Forti sandbox. We also have DLP. In DLP, we have the ability to fingerprint documents based on a Semba folder, share folder. So you can put there documents. We keep a fingerprint, you mean variation of it, keep evaluating that, and then the documents are basically safe. Below there, you mentioned things that the seamless SOAR, and it's a little bit more than that, and it's all the ecosystem of Fortinet. It can also be the FortiGate and so on, which is really important today because the new motto we have is that the email security goes beyond the mail. So this is our new messaging around the email security. You might have seen this new 1 minute 45 second video on YouTube, which outlines the incoming and the outgoing problem of the email, but also the fact that the email being the first element in the attack surface is also feeding the others, right? So it has to work in combination with the others.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And also, you know, we have not talked about, obviously, the encryption, the authentication on the mail. So this is all key features which are obviously standard.
Yeah.
That's absolutely critical to enable, secured mail and end-to-end authentication. Yeah, I think this is quite key also.
Yeah.
Good. And then obviously we have, as an objective here, we are going to discuss about Microsoft
365. I think we lost him again.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really a key topic. As he said, we see it, and definitely a big shift towards 365. So until it comes back.
Supports, either the, I would say, native integration or the gateway. Maybe I'll let you explain a bit that also.
So we lost you during the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like I have some internet issues. I'm in the office, but it looks like there is some internet issues here. So maybe I'll shift to my mobile.
Yeah. So in the meantime, so he passed me the ball. So yes. So what happened the last few years is that we observed.
Yeah. Thank you, Bachir. Please go ahead.
Yes. So we have seen this shift through 365 and almost on a daily basis, and there, talking with our customers, our partners, we looked for the best way to secure 365. So we have always been able to secure 365 using the MX approach, right? And something new emerged with 365 is this is the API, and it's nothing strange, and it's nothing that we hacked. It's the so-called Graph API that Microsoft is documenting, is providing to everybody, to any email security gateway that are willing to do that. So we, as I would say, traditional email gateway, we have opened, or we have created a new operation mode, which is dedicated to 365 with the API. So we know that we have seen a competition emerging into this segment of 365 by specializing there on the API itself, right? So we offer both ways still, the MX and the API. And the advantages of the API is that we have direct access to the mailboxes. When the email is delivered, it's in the mailbox. We can scan it at the time it arrives because we can be notified by Microsoft, and it's really fast. And also later on. Later on means that we are capable of using our own feeds, FortiGuard, Forti Sandbox, and so on, to scan those emails with some really fresh information. And there we are applying most of our techniques to 365.
And this is really a key differentiator, yeah. So this is something we will come back into, but we are providing, this API integration is obviously a real value prop and can help a lot improve the security real time. That's one of the objectives, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then the new feature which was released about protecting end customers about email outage. Here, for example, Office 365. Yeah, I think this is something which is really key. We are obviously managing the mail, I would say, in between. So we are keeping a local, I would say, copy. So that is a way to protect. So any employees, any user who is disconnected from the mail service for 1 hour or more, then is not left without access to his email. And this is really critical, because business mail is now becoming business critical, as simple as that. Yeah. So this is really a new but very key feature for a lot of companies that will be dependent on mail to get productivity, I would say. And this is something which is proposed as an option. So we will go into the product SKU portfolio and discuss about it. Yeah. Okay, so that is the key features against the use case. Now, obviously, we are a solution which is, as Bachir said, completely integrated into the fabric. It's powered by FortiGuard Lab. It's really performing to cost in terms of positioning. We have one of the best score in terms of protection, and we have a very large set of features. And if you integrate with sandboxing, we are one of the most richest, I would say, in terms of protection and against use case and vector of attacks. So you have seen the different rating on SE Lab. We have ISCA labs where we are also rated quite high. We have different rating where we can demonstrate the superiority, I would say, or the very high performance of FortiMail. Now, in terms of how is the competition, where do we stand, and how is the ecosystem? So there's quite a lot of player into mail security. Obviously, each of the native cloud SaaS mail security provider have their own security suite. Yeah. We have some pure plays like Proofpoint, Mimecast, and you have obviously security provider with a richer portfolio like us. So we will just focus quickly into how do we compare to Proofpoint, Mimecast, and Microsoft 365. Yeah. So just to take a few and just to highlight to you where we can create value, because this is obviously quite key. Yeah. So first, in terms of comprehensive protection, we have obviously the complete set of protection, and we are really above, I would say, obviously Microsoft 365, for example. We have parity, I would say, with Proofpoint in terms of features. Obviously, you will see that in terms of cost performance, we have a better solution, but in terms of features, if you compare, I think that's we will be closer to Proofpoint. Yeah. In terms of performance, we have demonstrated performance against Microsoft 365 and Proofpoint, and we will be equivalent to Mimecast into email detection, email protection. And then in terms of obviously integrating with a broader ecosystem, here it's one of the key value proposal of FortiMail. We have this native integration with Sandbox, with FortiSIEM, as we've seen before, with EDR. So we have a much better capability to help your customers protect into a broader ecosystem than any of these solutions. And then we have obviously FortiGuard is the key differentiator that we can promote. Yeah. So this is just to give you insight. As you need more information into any specific product, again, we are very happy to assist on request, and we can give you more insight or more details. Yeah. So now, in terms of the positioning, in terms of the Forrester Wave from 2021, we are positioned into the second circle, as we say. So we are strong player, I would say, into this email security. And we are ahead of Sophos, Symantec, and different solutions out there. Yeah. So this is something you can use because sometimes you have a legitimacy discussion with customer, and we are not obviously shy about FortiMail. And you can also use this data to demonstrate that FortiMail is a very recognized solution, and it's also recognized by the analyst and by the expert. Yeah. So same for Frost & Sullivan. We are into the second circle, as you see. So we are head to head with Trend Micro and Broadcom and other solutions like that. Yeah. Okay. So this is the message I wanted to pass in terms of competitive positioning. And then we will talk about quickly how you can use the different features to protect. Let's pause for questions. If you have questions about the use case, why protecting mail, the competitive positioning, anything about that before we go to the next aspects about the feature, and then drill down into the solution. Yeah. Any question? Just to take one in case you have.
No more questions at the moment.
Okay, good. So let's continue quickly. So maybe I think this is more or less, Bachir, I think this is more or less in line with what you explained before.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is just to illustrate, what components of the FortiMail are being used in terms of threat mitigation, in terms of obviously attached mail. So maybe I don't know if you want to say a few words about these slides, and then I'm happy to go fast.
No, I think I said it all before regarding all the techniques. So it ranges from the known to the unknown, and so we try to cover all aspects of the email. So everything from an incoming email is taken into account, from the IP to the content itself, to the attachment, to make this analysis, and that works together with the ability to have a quarantine. And on top of it, we have something we didn't mention yet, which is the ability to have a proper multi-tenant solution. And I was talking last week with somebody coming from Cisco, and he told me each time I was competing against you, each time we were asked about multi-tenancy, we were losing because you were definitely much stronger there.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The MSSP capabilities are very strong. I think this is one of the key differentiators that I have not listed before. And this is something which can also help you create your own service as a partner and really differentiate and have a very cost competitive service into managing email security for your customer. So if you're interested into FortiMail for MSSP, please contact me and contact Matthias. We will be very happy to explain that into more detail. Yeah. So the next point here now is becoming a bit more solution. So this is how you can configure and deploy FortiMail. Maybe I'll let you explain the difference, Bachir, about the transparent mode, the gateway mode, the server mode.
Yes. So the gateway mode is the one that I would say we use the most. Our customers are coming us for that. I would say a lot of 8 out of 10. I would say the customers are deploying the gateway mode. This is the MX redirect, right? So the one that everybody knows. And we introduced 2 years ago the API mode, and in the demo you will see that the API is a mode in which you switch in the FortiMail, so it works together. So you can have both gateway mode and API mode, and this is something that can work in parallel. When you activate the API mode, it will just start working. So the FortiMail will talk to Microsoft and do his work of analyzing the mailbox according to the policies, and the real-time activity is meant for. So gateway.
I think this is very important that both modes can work in parallel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, they can work in parallel. We will come to that. There are the reasons why we support that. Then we have the server mode. So this is something we have, I would say, historically. So if you look at FortiMail, this is one of the oldest product we have in the portfolio just after the FortiGate. So the founders, when they started Fortinet, they had this vision that it will never stop with email. And after 20 years, they were completely right. And it's even, I think it went over their initial idea that email is key. And we have something which is where the FortiMail can behave like a real email backend with agenda, with the contacts, sharing the things and so on. And the reason we kept it is because there are many use cases, probably not in Switzerland, but keep in mind we support it. But we have regions where they like to have a server mode in-house. It can be, we have use cases like municipalities. They want in each, here we would say Gemeinde, a server mode in their premises. So we have that. The idea is not to compete with Exchange, definitely. So their Exchange is, I can say it frankly, it's much more developed. The server mode is, you need a backend with a reasonable feature set. It's there, we have it. POP3 IMAP with webmail access and calendar. And then we have something which tends to be forgotten. This is the transparent mode. And there, when you talk about transparent mode, you need a customer, which is an ISP. And the transparent mode is meant to prevent blocklisting. The idea is in the name. The FortiMail will behave as transparent device. At layer 2, at layer 3, as long as the traffic comes in, is capable of intercepting the traffic, reconstructing the SMTP connection, going at TCP, analyzing the mail, and delivering it. So we really work low level, and there the idea is to filter the outgoing email. So this is not something we deploy often. It works perfectly. This is, I can tell you, something complicated to set up. That's why we keep it for ISP and carriers. So if you want names, it's big names that are using it. We have use cases in France with some big names. I will not give their names. We have in the Middle East also the big names there, and here in the surroundings, not too far away, an operator, I would say in Africa side, in Egypt, for example, recently in Ivory Coast. So it's a French operator that are operating the network in Ivory Coast that is using it, because the problem there is that spam is a real problem. It's, you know, it's a source of spam. You know, the one that is sending you an email to that is promising you $1 million if you accept to share some private information and so on. So there we use the transparent mode really efficiently.
Yeah, obviously gateway and API is the main approach, and it's also the way to go for MSSP. Yeah, you can configure the same, I would say.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you very much, Bachir. So that is the how to configure, I would say, how to deploy and how to take the benefits out of this. So if we look a little bit more in detail into the gateway mode, so this is obviously FortiMail can be deployed as a virtual machine, as a physical appliance, or also as a cloud SaaS function. Yeah, we have FortiMail Cloud, so we will go in a minute into this. So we can operate into that mode. And then we have this integration also with the Fortinet ecosystem that can be implemented. It can be upfront to a FortiGate, and then, or it can be behind the FortiGate coming from the internet, so that you can also filter the incoming traffic from a network standpoint. And then you have FortiMail in gateway mode, protected by the FortiGate itself, yeah, either as a VM or as a physical appliance, yeah. So that is, maybe you can explain about the NAT and DNAT, Bachir, on this.
I think there, all the IT guys knows. You can put a FortiMail in the front of the traffic as incoming, and there are use cases where it can be inside the network, so you NAT it, you DNAT it. the FortiMail is really like an appliance, and one beauty of it is that it's like the FortiGate, the operating system, the solution itself can be easily loaded, upgraded. You have no access to the system itself, so there is no rootkit, no root access. It's impossible to get into the database. It's highly hardened, and the reason it's really similar to the FortiGate is because they really started at the same time. So the practices of an appliance, we took them from the FortiGate as it was developed in the early days. So that's why today the FortiMail, compared to other solution, which you have to you need a Windows base, you need Linux base, you install a package and so on. No, this is not the way it works. It's meant to be easy to set up. It's meant to work really as an appliance. And beyond that, something maybe I'll mention afterwards is that we work with IP segregation. So with the MSSP or the multi-tenant offer, you have the possibility to associate an IP to a domain, to a protected domain. So you can really segregate all the customers or the tenant within the organization down to the IP level, so they don't mix up the traffic. If one behaves badly or makes a bad configuration, the other one will not get blacklisted.
Yeah, then you can isolate the email traffic, yeah, which is quite key. Good, so this is an important aspect. Into the, I don't think we should spend too much time on the transparent mode, and the server mode is also quite a specific use case, as we said, so let's keep it for now. If you want more information, don't hesitate, also, there is something quite specific. Mail is so critical that you have to consider active or high availability cluster. And this is really important that you enable it either through virtual machine. It's quite simple, by the way, to deploy FortiMail VMs on Microsoft Azure. I mean, you can have a cluster of active passive virtual machines that will obviously guarantee more than 99.999% SLA. So this is clearly one of the design we recommend. Or you can manage, a much higher auto-scale config, which can be also load balanced through a FortiADC or through a cloud load balancer. So you have the different options, so that you can also create a very high availability and automatically scalable platform. So this is quite key also for your customer environment. I don't know, Bachir, if you want to add to this.
There is the possibility to have a single pane of glass over the cluster within the advanced management feature. That was required because we see a lot of those setups where there is really a need to see from a single FortiMail, we call it the primary, what's going on the others. It goes beyond just looking. You can also query logs, so you make a cross-device log query to see how the setup is done. So having clusters is nothing strange. Even if there is the hypervisor, they can back up the situation. But we see that FortiMail is sometimes required to be in a cluster over different data centers, right? And in 7.0, we even had something. It's actually a requirement from a large customer we have in Switzerland, where you have the ability to desynchronize any part of the configuration. So basically, when you have a config cluster, we replicate all the configuration, and you can selectively decide, oh, this should not be desynchronized, or this can be synchronized, and so on. So the idea that is to offer the possibilities to selectively decide what needs to be synchronized, yes or no. And I'm thinking about LDAP profile, because you might have an Active Directory in different data centers. You can have a sandbox that can be in different data centers and so on. So things are not necessarily shared within the configuration. I was talking about MSSP, and I see a question in the chat.
Yeah, I was going to cover it. It's a question about how HA can be enabled between VM and hardware. Is that something that is possible? Can we have a mix of different type of appliance? I think that's the question. Yeah.
Yes, you can mix and match the appliances, virtual and hardware. Yeah.
Yeah, which is very powerful, because when you have a physical appliance on site, then you can create a cluster with a virtual machine on Azure. And then you can obviously set up an auto-scale capability so that VM can scale. So you can really have a high availability and scalable opportunity. Yeah?
Yes.
So that is great. So that is really something we should consider as a partner. As your customer traffic may grow, then you should design this upfront, I would say, because you can span the VM on Azure or AWS anytime. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to pay for it full time, I would say.
Yeah. Google Cloud also is supported. Here, there's not much traction, but it's coming. We see that coming slowly. For example, in the Middle East, they were saying, no, we'll never go cloud 4 years ago. Now they move cloud, and they also use a consumer Google Cloud, and also the one you mentioned, the big one, Azure and AWS. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really good question. Yeah, and you should consider this design at upfront with your customer, so you can demonstrate to your customer that scalability option. And I think this is quite key, that you take benefit of it and you come with that default design right away. I think that's really something we advise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. It's a good question. So let's continue. So that is the deployment mode. Now we were talking about the different SKU and how it works in terms of the models. So you have obviously the physical appliance, which can be quite powerful. They all support 10 gig interface. You can go up to 2 million message per hour. So you can size the appliance per I would say the volume. Then you have the virtual machines, which is CPU licensed. And again, you will size based on email and email traffic throughput. You can deploy virtual machine on VMware, on Citrix, on any Nutanix, Hyper-V, or public cloud environments. So this is quite flexible. And then we have FortiMail Cloud. It's not very well known here in Switzerland, but this is really a managed email service that is hosted by Fortinet, and obviously either in gateway or server mode, even if gateway is the most frequent. And here you can pay per user per year. So it's really pay-per-use type of solution, and it is a SaaS platform. So this is also very easy to activate, to deploy, and you get the same feature as FortiMail. So it's really something which can be fast-track deployment, fast-track sales, and easy to operate also for you as a partner. Yeah, it's mostly delegated to Fortinet, and you just define for your customer the specific rules that you want to implement, and you control that as an admin. I would say that's the model. Okay. Any question or anything you want to add, maybe Bachir, on this?
Yes, two things. The appliances first, starting from the left. So we commit to stick with appliances because there are many organizations, they want a FortiMail in-house, and that's why this year we have brought the new F model. So hardware is key, hardware is important, and we commit to that. So if you invest into hardware, we will understand, of course, and you will not get. We will. I mean, the investment is good there. For the cloud, yes, for some reason it's not too popular in the FortiMail cloud in Switzerland. But I can tell you that the growth in the FortiMail cloud is 3 digits year to year. So it's just exploding. So we had existing customers, they moved from hardware VM to cloud. And we have also new customers, they straight away go to the cloud. They say, for us, it's an online service. Email is online per nature, so it must be in the cloud. And that's why the investment has been really huge into FortiMail cloud. So we do everything there, we manage it. We have footprint in Europe. Now we are increasing the locations that will come, but it's under work. And of course, we have the historical location in North America. And virtual machine is what we, of course, this is the pillar, because everybody now is everybody, not everybody, but most of our customers are virtualizing their environment, and they move. Actually, we see a lot of shift move between virtual to the cloud, and also back to the virtual and to the cloud, and also sometimes a mixture of the two. So the fact that we can mix and match the clusters makes completely sense.
Yeah, and I would say the benefit of the virtual machine is clearly that you can set up right away into the cloud, into public cloud, auto scale, high availability cluster, and we give you the templates, so the Terraform templates, the ARM templates that you can deploy also from GitHub. So this is something you can find into our GitHub. So it's a great help for you as a partner to speed up the deployment and configure right and get it up and running into hours. So this is a major plus, yeah. I think we have a question here about the subscription license. Maybe I'll let you read, Bachir, because it's a bit specific.
Yes. So the subscription license, I think it was in the beginning. Yeah, sales positioning between hardware perpetual VM subscription. Yeah, so the story with the subscription came around beginning of last year when we decided to apply what existed on the FortiGate. Sometimes we take inspiration from the FortiGate in terms of positioning, also in terms of design, many aspects. There are good things, really good things in there that we apply. And this is also part of the fabric, yeah, that we want something seamless. And the subscription, as you know it, the idea there is that this is a new license type where the VM and the services, they end at the same time, right? And the idea is to lower the initial price of the
capex,
yeah, the capex, exactly. So we came with some offering, and we didn't include in the initial phase the extra options. So the 365, the image analysis, the advanced management, and so on. And there were some technical reasons for that, and there was more technical, not technical on the product itself, but rather on the so-called SKU organization and the SKU generation, which caused that the options are not available on the subscription. But that should come. So we know this is an interesting offer, really interesting offer. And we know that there is a demand on that. So we need to fill it. And that should come at some point, definitely. So it's not a technical problem in terms of product.
So it's in the roadmap, and I think we'll get back to you as soon as this is added. But I understand the point. Yeah, it's quite beneficial.
Yes.
And we are looking into growing our VM offering for sure, because this is a request from customers and partners. Very much. Good. Okay. So if there is no more question, thank you very much.
I have seen a question regarding the so-called advanced management and MSSP positioning. So probably the mistake is on our side with the naming of the so-called MSSP option in the early days of this option when we introduced it. So as we realized that MSSPs were really interested in FortiMail, we thought it was necessary to build a set of or a single option which contains a lot of options good for MSSPs. So we called it MSSP option. And this confusion started where large organizations or customers with some specific requirement were saying, oh, can I purchase it? Can I use it even if I'm not a proper MSSP? And we always said, yes, of course, it's in the price list. Just take it, of course, and you will have it. So we renamed it into advanced management. So this naming stayed because everybody has some old docs containing that, or using some software or some FortiMail where the naming in the FortiGuard section of the license is still called MSSP. So the MSSP license is overran. So now we should call that advanced management, which is good for everybody.
And this is for customers who need a multi-tenant environment. Yeah, I think this is really the objective. Yeah.
Yes, multi-tenant environment. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You can use it for just one sub option, right? And you need to negotiate the price, saying to the sales, look, I just need this option. Can you discount me? But this is another story, right?
No, but it's good that you mentioned. And back to the first question we had. Yes, for now, if you want all the advanced features which are not into the VMS, you have to sell and you have to use perpetual. That's the only way for now. And as we said, we will introduce this into the next. Hopefully the next month. Yeah, it's into the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not available on VMS at the moment. Yeah.
No,
that's
exactly.
the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we covered all the questions, if I'm correct. I don't know. Yeah. Even for an SMB, I think Victor, it will be the same. Yeah. It has to be perpetual then. So you have here the different bundles. Yeah, so you have the base, you have the enterprise, and the ATP with Microsoft API bundle. So this is the difference. So you can find that into the product sheet description. You have the same also on FortiMail Cloud. It's about the same, yeah. So you can also have a review, and we're happy to assist and answer any question on that. So that was about the key differentiators, how we sell, and how you can configure and deploy. So we proposed into the agenda to have a focus on Microsoft 365. We talked about the API integration, but now how do we complement? How do we position ourselves? How do we create value, and how can we sell and how can you sell email security for customers who have Microsoft 365? So first, Microsoft customers are suffering right now about huge level of spam, which are not well filtered, very poor recognition of phishing attempts that are being recognized, and you can see that many places in the press. And also there are some challenges with the SharePoint links, which can propagate dangerous payloads. So that are known issues, and any of your customer can open the discussion on this. Yeah. So there is also some lot of limitations into the standard Microsoft 365 offering, which is about quarantine handling, business email compromise, content rewrite and disarm, password decrypt, and safe browsing. Don't exist into the base. You have to subscribe into an option, a security option into Microsoft to get some of these services. So you have to pay even more, and obviously customers who have not paid that extra service are very much exposed. That is the reality. Yeah. So clearly we are here to address these risks, and compared to Microsoft Defender for Microsoft 365, which is now the solution which is proposed here, then we are actually, Microsoft is coming with some type of a bundle solution which contains a lot of things into Defender for Microsoft 365, and then you have different plans and different prices. Yeah. And if you look into that in detail, obviously we are proposing, I would say, a solution which is better in terms of mail protection, and which is cheaper than if you go into plan 2 or if you go into E5 for customers. So when you talk to customers who are mid-sized customers who have not purchased E5 from Microsoft, we are very much proposing a strong value proposal at a much lower price point. And by much lower than Plan 2 or E5, we are in a ratio of 1 to 4, sometimes 1 to 5, dependent on discount. Yeah. So this is really key because your customers are faced with a key decision. Either I invest even much more into Microsoft security, but it's costing a fortune. Either I work with a third-party solution, which is integrated with the firewalling, with the Fabric ecosystem, and which is very strong into email security and which is cheaper. And that is clearly our use case and value prop on Microsoft 365. And then we can also demonstrate, as you've seen, the higher level of protection, the capability to block phishing, which is much higher than what Microsoft can offer. And we have this native sandbox integration, which is also a huge value prop into email security. Yeah. So this is in big top-down view. This is how you can engage with your customer. This is how you can demonstrate the value proposal of FortiMail. And obviously, as it's completely integrated into 365, then we can demonstrate also this really well working solution at a fraction of the cost of your customer going into the higher Microsoft security solutions. Yeah. Okay. So this is the value prop. So I let you read. Obviously, I will send the material right after. And if you have questions, please again come back to us. If you look into the Gartner assessment between Microsoft 365 and the Fortinet value prop, you see that we have obviously this advanced capability, which are better. We can provide, for example, browser isolation. We can provide better solutions for impersonation, for email continuity. We have obviously integration with security awareness and awareness training. So we have quite a lot of capability that Microsoft is not providing into the email security space. Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you look into that. Also, what is important is we have done our homework within Fortinet. We have created material to help you engage with customers who are using Microsoft 365. So we have created obviously the checklist, the solution brief, the marketing material, the ebook that you can leverage, and you can engage with your customer to explain and to demonstrate FortiMail superiority. And then you can do a very fast quote and demonstrate the interest from a price point. Yeah, I think this is really the material that you should leverage. And again, here, happy to assist you for your first customer engagement. Happy to assist you for your first setup, where you can demonstrate also the risks that your customer is being exposed into. And then you can really take this material, customize for you as a partner, put your partner logo and take it further. I think this is what we can enable right now. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, Bachir, if you want to add anything about Office Microsoft 365 protection.
No, I think you said it all. There's definitely a gap, as I said initially, and this is this gap that we want to fill in. Yeah. And
also don't be shy. Yeah, I mean, don't be shy, because Microsoft is not shy about talking about mail security, and you can demonstrate here a better solution at a lower price. So use it for you as an asset very much. Yeah, I think this is the message. Okay. Now we have talked briefly about the API integration. So we have a few slides to explain how it works. Yeah. So we talked about the inline mode or the off-path mode. We talked about the mixed mode, which is the combination of the MX mode with the API integration. And then this is more or less how it works in terms of the flow. Maybe I'll let you explain or comment this, Bachir, very quickly also.
Yeah. So the solution we propose, and this is important, it's fully Graph API based. Sometimes the competition would say, no, we have a different approach using journaling, and a mixture of Graph API, or we use a different API. The other API you might hear, actually, they will be deprecated. And our solution is what the Gartner recommend. It's full Graph API. Since we did it from scratch, we decided to go the right way and the recommended way. So as we said, we can mix the modes being inline and use the API. And then having the two, you can take really the advantage of the API where it will do things that the gateway mode cannot do. What is that? It's scanning the internal mails. So an email within the organization may not necessarily go through the gateway, so that you can catch with the Graph API. And since we have access to the mailboxes, you can run scheduled scan. Let's take a scenario where you want to run a scan every day at midnight over a set of mailboxes we will scan them, and the FortiMail will use the last known thread feeds from FortiGuard to do the scanning, extract mail which are already delivered. So we have a cleaner mailboxes within the organization.
Yeah, and in terms of the flow, how it works behind the screen, I would say, so this is the mixed model.
Yeah, so this is a high level flow. Usually we get the question, but how is that really working? So it's really simple. You have Alice on the left-hand side. She's going to send an email to Bob. So the very first thing is that happens is nothing strange. The mail uses SMTP, it goes to 365. And what immediately happens, I mean, in a matter of a second, Microsoft is going to notify the FortiMail, and that assumes that the configuration is done correctly in terms of tenant registration and in terms of notification. So Microsoft is aware of the fully qualified domains or the URL of the FortiMail, and it will give him just one information. It is the identifier of the message. It's a UUID telling him, look, this UUID, it's a message and it just arrived. So what FortiMail does as a response to this notification is to talk to Microsoft immediately to get all the information needed to scan the mail. It's metadata about the mail, it's the header section, it's the message, it's the content, and we will process. They are profiled, they are policies like in the gateway mode with similar profile that you can import. We will process it. So the FortiMail process it and will eventually at the end, this is just an example, delete the message because it contained maybe a malicious attachment. So
or release the message to Bob. So Bob cannot access the message before it has been scanned, yeah?
So this is one thing actually. In this particular scenario, the message, we scan it as it is in the mailbox. So it can be fast, and then Bob has no chance to read the message, but it can be slow. And here I'm thinking mainly about outbreaks and sandboxing, which can take 1 minute, 2 minutes, right? And this is the nature of those techniques that need time to scan the mail. So there is an option. It's a CLI-based option where upon reception of the notification, immediately after that, what we are going to do is to hide the message. And it's hidden in Microsoft side. It's nothing strange. It's a capability offered by Microsoft to take a message and hide it. So Bob will not see it. It's in a specific location, still in his mailbox. So we are not extracting the mail, moving to FortiMail for analysis. We keep it there, we hide it, we take time to analyze it. And then at the time we realize the mail is okay, we will just ask Microsoft to move the mail from the hidden area to the incoming mailbox. So this is an option, an open door to solve this problem.
And this is a great option because I'm sure this is something which is really also, preventing the users to complain about any performance, but then it's greatly increasing the security. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. Good, so that's really important to understand the flow, how you can configure the FortiMail, how you can take benefits of the API, and really, you know, if you need help in doing the settings, we're here to assist with pleasure, yeah. And then you have here the different features that are enabled by gateway mode and by the API. And obviously you can mix, so you can get all the features up and running. That is quite key. Yeah. Okay. So this is just to give you an overview about the capabilities here. Okay, so this is about how to deploy, how to configure the key features, how to enable, how to integrate with Office 365, how to take benefit of the mixed mode, I would say, which is quite powerful. I don't know if you have any question here on that, on Office 365 protection, competitiveness, how to integrate, how to take benefit of the gateway and mixed API mode. Just pose your question into the Q&A, otherwise we continue. Yeah, I don't think there is any. Okay, good. So let's continue. So we are now going through the new features, which are obviously recent from 7.0. We are now looking into 7.2, which is coming quite soon. I'm sure Bachir, you can give a quick insight about it. But let's look first at the features from 7.0 because they are quite key. That's a major improvement that's 7.0 brought with email continuity. So that's the always on capability that I've been explaining very high level. We have improved a lot threat protection and detection by domain protection, by CDR workflow, URI protection. We'll go into it. And then we have also increased privacy, and we have implemented the TLS version control, DANE standards, and we'll go into all these features. Yeah. So this is something which is now really a key value prop of FortiMail that you can use for whenever you engage with customer. And this is something which is really important. So email continuity, for example, going fast through this. You know that end users can get visibility on Microsoft 365 availability on Twitter. And there is quite a lot of warnings. Microsoft is a global platform. Microsoft is obviously a very reliable platform, but there are some out time. There is some problems. And you can see out of the press that it can be down for up to 5 hours recently. Yeah, so that is really a major impact into a lot of enterprise and mid-sized enterprise. And as such, if you look at the impact of the time loss into the productivity by the fact that nobody could access email into a given company, you can very quickly cost the impact of a 1 hour, let's say here, a 3-hour outage. You can cost that to, let's say, mid-sized 2,500 employees. You can cost that to 70K or about very quickly into 3 hours of downtime. And yeah, when you buy the email continuity option, you know, you get really that email continuity and protection for obviously a very small price uplift to the email solution itself. Yeah. So, and this is list price, obviously. Yeah? This is not the sale price. So this is list price. So this is just to give you an impact, some insight about the impact about email being down. And our solution is really providing near zero access to the email and email history, email queue. So this is quite important. The employees will not realize that email is down. So I don't know, Bachir, if you want to explain briefly how this works, the gateway mode.
Yes, so you mentioned a lot of 365. So this was the initial target when we email continuity came to our mind. And we targeted initially essentially FortiMail Cloud for this 365 use case. And then talking with the customers, we realized that the outage can be also inside the organization because of a misconfiguration, because also, and we saw that recently with the different patch releases of on Exchange, that when a security problem is found on Exchange, something really bad, and we have seen that a few times last year, then urgently the mail server has to be brought down. So that means the organization, even if they have the Exchange on-prem, they cannot reach their emails anymore. So we broaden the availability of email continuity to the on-prem, so to hardware and VM. So it's generic now. We made it completely generic. So that's a message for those that who heard about FortiMail or email continuity in the early days. The way it works, basically, it's really simple. We are the entry point for emails. We are the secure email gateway. And we will do more than being a secured email gateway. We are going to store the incoming email into the gateway itself, so that when the backend server dies, anybody can connect as if it connects to the is quarantine access. It's exactly the same, except that we are taking the server mode view, which we had already, and we make it a mailbox. So you get access to your mailbox with all the mails that went through the gateway. So that means the mail must go through the gateway, which makes sense. And it goes a little bit beyond, because once you are in the mailbox, because your backend, or once you are in the gateway because the backend is not working, you want to reply to emails. You can read them. That's really good. It's email continuity. But you want to reply to them. And because since we are the gateway, we allow it. So if the option is enabled, you can even answer to an email right from the gateway itself. So you're in FortiMail and you can answer. And I will show you that into the demonstration. For storage capability, for compliancy, we have a retention period. So the default one is 30 days, and we think that this is the default one, which is correct. Usually you work with the last 30 days email. At least this is my case. I often work with the recent emails. Beyond that, those are emails usually you will never reply to. So you see the last 30 days. But of course, you can have more, and you just need a good sizing. And since FortiMail can be added or can be linked to a NAS, so an external drive, you can extend to any size.
And you could also store into an Azure Blob storage, or if it's a VM, for example, you can also use the cloud, yeah, if yes. I'm correct.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
So you can really also, I would say, store locally at a very low cost. So that is another option, yeah, which is quite interesting.
Exactly, yeah.
Good. So this is really important, and this is obviously an option that you can propose to your customer, and this is worth discussing the benefit and the impact. And you have here, you know, the description and how it works. Yeah, all the features that you see here. You can find that into obviously the product description, but I just wanted to recap. You can, you know, send mails, receive mails, you can reply to mails, you can download and access the attachments, you can view the contacts, you can access quarantine, you can replay, you know, some prior deleted mails. So you have more or less all the features as if your email service was up and running. Yeah? Okay, so there is some limitations that you need to be aware of, which are being addressed. So it's about notifying the employees and how to redirect the traffic. So there's a few things you will find into the slides, and happy to assist, yeah, if you have questions on that. Checking if there is questions. There is a question about is the business continuity, I guess, function working with FortiMail Cloud also?
Yes, we have it. Initially, it was only for FortiMail Cloud, but now it's generally available.
So yeah. This is obviously available for Fortinet Cloud. Yeah, this is not just for the VMs, not just for the physical clients. It's available for all the form factor, as we say. So it's a good question. Thank you. Okay, other features, that is, maybe I'll let you explain a bit this one, because that is more technical for me, Bachir.
Yes, So this is something I would say trendy that is taking off in some location, and it became mandatory in government RFPs, like we have seen that in Netherlands, in Germany, in Lithuania, and it's called DANE. So DANE stands for DNS-based authentication name, and it can be complicated. Actually, it's complicated, and just after that, I will switch to something else which is much simpler, where we see more future on that. But still, DANE is here today. It has been standardized, and there are requirements for that. So with DANE, I mean, from high level, it's something that offers the possibility to specify the DNS possibility by populating a DNS record. The way the DNS record looks like is kind of complicated. You can encrypt it and so on. And at the end of the day, the cool thing is that it's, from FortiMail perspective, really easy, because on the TLS profile, what we had is a checkbox where you can say, I want DANE to be supported and enforced. So this checkbox does a lot of work in the background to support this complicated standard.
And I think it's only Cisco and Proofpoint which support this capability. Yes. So we are now able also to compete into the I would say RFP, or into the government organizations, or into some specific aspects where DNS-based authentication is quite important. So this is also something which can help you differentiate. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So in Switzerland, we didn't see much about DANE. Only just question marks, do you support it, but not a strong requirement. But it may come. Just in case it comes, you can just check the box, it's here, we have it.
This feature is quite important, yeah, because that's a lot of the business email compromise attack, and a lot of the phishing attack are coming from the cousin domain, yeah. So this is really an important new feature.
Yes. Exactly, yes. So here we have the ability to detect a domain which is too close to the domain you are securing. And when that happens, we trigger the cousin domain triggers, and you can act on that. It can be as simple as tagging the mail, saying, okay, this sounds strange, be careful, or just stop it and put it in a quarantine for review.
Yeah, and this is again a very important new feature, so you can really highlight this to your customer. And then we have additional features with the sandbox integration as a workflow, URI redirector, SRS support. So these are additional features. I will just pass quickly through this. But just so you know, we are really moving fast on email security, email protection. Every new release is coming with quite a lot of feature, and they can really demonstrate, how the product is strong and how the product is up to date. This spam, obviously, submission from an admin or user is really key also. And that is also something which is improving the management of malicious mail or suspected mail, I would say. Yeah. So this is moving this to further analysis, and that is really quite key to protect against spam. Okay. So yeah. So I think this was the key features. There's two more features I would like to present. The safe content rendering, which is managed through FortiIsolator. And then we will talk about the dynamic image analysis service, which is another option. Yeah. So here we're talking about options, but these are very important, very interesting, because whenever your users are going through their mail directly into web browsing, then this is another risk, a very high risk of clicking into the wrong mail or the wrong URL and getting directed to a malicious website. So here we are making this website safe by just I would say creating a picture of the website. Yeah, if I summarize quickly, Bachir.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And that is providing obviously key protections to end user clicking into a URL from their mail. The next one is dynamic image analysis. So this is to filter any potentially sexual explicit or any potential non-corporate, I would say, pictures which are circulating by mail. So this is to protect the company again about any potential abuse about the mail system. And that is also quite key because that could be, you know, in a GDPR compliant environment, which is very restricted across Europe. Companies should take actions to protect themselves against this risk. And that is an option which is also quite important. Yeah. In terms of how it works, is the picture deleted and put into quarantine, Bachir, or what is the action behind the screen?
No, we essentially detect that it's nudity. So it's an engine which comes with the FortiMail, and there you can take action based on the action profile, the usual actual profile. Okay, so from the admin standpoint, yeah? Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, great. So that's another option which is important. And just what I wanted to say also is FortiMail is really, as you said, Bachir, it came from the initial development team of FortiGate. So it's really sharing the same logic as all of the Fabric ecosystem, the menu, the feature, the capability, the dashboards, the visibility is really convenient, is really easy to learn and easy to use. And this is also one of the strengths of FortiMail that we don't pitch enough, because this is really, I would say, yeah, easy to handle. There's a lot of templates, a lot of defaults, a lot of pre-configured security rules. So you yourself as a partner, you will save a lot of time onboarding and managing FortiMail, and this is also a key asset. Yeah, I just want to make that clear because sometimes it's not really made forward, and I think we should be proud of that ease of use, which is very key for your success. There is a question about running 7.0 in production. Is that stable? Is that recommended now, Bachir?
Yeah, definitely. So 7.03, this is the last version we have. This is really mature. Of course, the 7.0.0 scared a lot of customers because of the too many zeros. And the 7.03 really is really an accomplishment in terms of stability and distribution. So I would highly recommend to use it.
Yeah, that's good. And the last slide on my side is we are very well recognized by the Gartner peer. So this is where this usability and the security that it provides is recognized by the real user. So this is something you should also use for yourself as you engage into customer discussions. It's not just about the quadrants and the Sullivan Frost or whatever, you know, is a solution which is really strong, which is really considered as great value by the customer themselves. And that's also one of the pitch points that you should use. Yeah. And last, I really encourage that you use CTAP. CTAP is a great solution. As I said, we've done 2 weeks ago, we've done a presentation about the reports, the details, and 75% of the CTAP that has been done on Office Microsoft 365 discovered some risks and issues or threats. So we really encourage that you do this. It's for free. It takes about 2 weeks to run, 1 hour to set up maximum, and the outcome is just outrageous for you to have a discussion with prospects and customers. So we really encourage that you go in this direction. Yeah, and that is not restricted to Microsoft 365. You can run it on Exchange, Google Workspace, or any email system your customer is using. Okay, you have a lot of resources into FortiMail that you can leverage. I put some links here, so you can obviously click into the links. Again, contact me, contact me anytime if you have any question. Happy to assist. I'm sure Rudy and the team, Victor here from BOLL, will assist you also with great pleasure. So key takeaway before I hand over back to you, Bachir, for the demo and further technical is email security is too critical to be left over. So you as a partner should engage and have that discussion with your customer. It is really key to complement Office or Microsoft 365 email security. And customers are not obliged to buy something which is outrageously expensive to improve their email security with Microsoft. There are much better alternatives which are highly recognized, very well integrated, that can demonstrate much stronger value prop, inclusive of continuity, for example, that Microsoft cannot propose. So this is just to give you the insights about what and how to convey the message to your customer. And again, happy to assist. So this being said, I hand over back to you, Bachir, for a quick demo.
Yes, I'll share my screen, and my screen is this one. Share, right. So you should see my screen.
Yeah, all good.
Yes. Just to show you what I want to talk about now. I want to bring you through just really shortly a design approach, so the things that can make a complex setup. And within the demonstration, I want to show you FortiMail, for those who don't know it. And I will focus on 365 integration and email continuity, and also give you a sneak peek of 7.2. And the reason for that is because FortiOS 7.2 is out. And what I hear now, since it's out, is where do you stand with FortiMail? You always said there is an alignment between FortiMail version and FortiOS. So the alignment is true. It's completely true. We started it with 6.0 to always align with the FortiOS. So within a month, and don't take that as a promise, we should have a 7.2, which is at the moment still a baking, but it's almost out, almost ready. We're just doing some testing, some adjustments, and then we should have it ready, hopefully by end of this month, early next month. And then there are features that I will just really briefly mention that you can have a look at until we have enough confidence and customers can move to 7.2. Anytime, Q&A, don't hesitate to ask. So the FortiMail, this is something in its most basic usage meant to filter the incoming email. As I said this morning, one aspect which is forgotten is that we can also filter the outgoing email. And as email increases in volume, and we see that in many customers, they don't even see that the email is increasing, but when they realize it, they need something to cope with this increase of volume. So they can go for a higher license if they have the chance to have a VM. So they go for from VM 8 to 16 to 32, and somewhere there's a limit. There must be a limit. So they can cluster the FortiMail up to 25 with config only cluster. And they can also have the HA, so one active, one passive. And this increases the flow or the handling of the process. And from the primary, you can monitor all the others. So this is, again, a simple setup. You just stack the FortiMails, make sure you have a load balancer to send the traffic to the right FortiMail. So we have customers, they like to have multiple clusters, and the usual one is a cluster for the incoming email, a cluster for the outgoing email, and the ability to centralize the quarantine. Since a user can reach his email from or get his email from any FortiMail, there is a need, or there is a way to put all the quarantine email when quarantine is needed. It's not always needed, but we have many customers, they need a quarantine to handle personal quarantine. So that can be configured to a dedicated central quarantine. It can also be one of the FortiMail within the cluster, but it can also be a dedicated FortiMail for that. There are many use cases where the FortiMail can be connected to LDAP, which means Active Directory, also to extend capabilities, for example, routing or aggregating the quarantine, right? For example, you have many aliases and you want a single quarantine for all those aliases. So those are just two use cases where you can leverage Active Directory or LDAP. NAS, we mentioned it, ability to use external storage device. You can associate the FortiMail cluster to a Samba share where we will fingerprint the DLP document. IBE, it's a feature free of charge. It's a really cool one. And the IBE shortly is the ability to force the recipient of an email. So let's assume you have a sender. This is Alice, and she's going to send an email to Bob, right? It's very confidential information that she has into email. And if you configure correctly IBE to trigger, it can be based on word detection. It can be based on the fact that anytime Alice is sending an email, IBE should trigger. What will happen is that the email she's going to send will be stored on the FortiMail, and the recipient, Bob, is going to get a notification forcing him to read the mail, HTTPS end-to-end on FortiMail. So we enjoy the fact that we have kind of server mode to allow this feature to read the mail in a really secure way. So what can
Bachir, that could work with the Office Microsoft 365 integration also, or how would it work?
Not yet. It's not yet fully integrated with 365.
Okay, so that is the things to come, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, yes. Still, it would work with 365 in the sense that if 365 is sending us the outgoing email, that would work perfectly.
Oh, yes, but then it would work this way because most of the emails are sent from 365 anyway.
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
yes.
Clear, thank you.
Yeah. So what can we do? Email alerts. So whenever the system reaches conditions that are abnormal that can affect its processing of email, we can configure the FortiMail to send alert like queues are full. It can be because the backend is dead. Quarantine digest, so ability to send a report on the emails that are waiting in the personal quarantine. Reports can be generated. Role-based access, this is really important. This is a strong positioning of FortiMail, allowing tenants to see their part of the FortiMail. So you can all of a sudden decide that a specific domain that the organization is handling, that should be handled by a specific administrator, and this is fully possible down to the logs. So the administrator will never figure out that the FortiMail is reaching, configuring, is hosting any other domain. Something new or coming more and more is the need for automation on FortiMail. And for that, we have a REST API that reaches through which you can really potentially have access to all the configuration aspect of the FortiMail. And we see automation from, for example, FortiSOAR, which is one of the last babies we have for automation, where you can see scenarios of emails being reported to a SOC analyst, and the SOC in response is going to modify the block list of a FortiMail in a fully automated way. The integration of the fabric, so the FortiMail can be used as a single point product, but it's you can multiply the forces by using it within the fabric. So we talked about the SIEM, the gate, the isolator, the FAS also is there. And finally, we've talked a lot about this morning, the 365. So all that can be used and add on top the handling of the securing of the 365 mailboxes. So this is the quarantine access that can be configured. Something also that often is forgotten when we talk about email relaying is how complex can be an email environment. It's not only in and out. It can also be a need to enforce TLS to a specific delivery. So you might have scenario where you have a partner, and to this partner, you need to talk TLS 1.2 at least, so that you can do. You might have internal newsletter senders, so engines, internal relays that are sending out a newsletter. And for those, you can say, I don't want an anti-spam profile. You might have remote workers to whom you can say, I want them to send email through my relay, and I want them to be, of course, authenticated. And you can also say, I want for those specific users, senders, SMIME encryption. I want to force signing and or encryption SMIME based, so that their emails are for sure having a kind of security within the content. And you can also, as I mentioned just before, have for specific users or for everybody, or based on some keyword detection, IBE to trigger, so the email is kept on the gateway. The potential confidential information is stored on the gateway, and forcing the recipients to read the mail through FortiMail. So let's switch to FortiMail. So we talked a lot about it, but we didn't see it yet. So that's my chance to show it within the next, I would say, 30, 45 minutes. And you will see, for those who don't know it, the easiness, the friendliness of the solution. So I have FortiMail, which is hosted in Google Cloud. I purchased this domain. So this is FML test XYZ. And this FortiMail, I'm using it to secure some domains. Of course, this is nothing production. It's all demo oriented, but it will be seamless if you had a production domain. So I have a few domains that I have. FortiMail test XYZ. So this is the domain itself. And another one, this is my family name. That's I'm only the one to use. And it's all story starts with a dashboard with a lot of statistics. And here we are in the gateway mode, right? I will not spend too much time within the gateway mode. I want to show you the basic stuff about the gateway mode. So this is the operation mode you can find here. You find the policies. The policies define what to do, who to accept, what to do at IP level, and what to do at recipient level. So from who to who, and which anti-spam profile you might want to apply. So there you find the different techniques that we mentioned initially, starting with the FortiGuard, SPF DKIM. It goes to the heuristic packages, the behavior mentioned, but it can also be extended with personal banned words, safest word dictionaries, and so on. Finally, the newsletter and suspicious newsletter. So the suspicious newsletter are those spammers that are abusing the indicator of newsletter just to go through the gateway. So we can detect them and apply an action, which the action can have different intermediate action. Can be start with a tag, so you can tag a subject, insert a header, and so on. And the final action can be discard, reject, personal, system quarantine, domain quarantine, and you can rewrite the recipient email address. So this is basically the way it works from high level. And because I want to show you 365, having this basic overview of how it works, you will find 365 on the top here. Besides the advanced view, which refers to the gateway mode, you find 365 view. So let's switch to 365 view. And if you don't pay attention, it's more or less the same view, right? It starts with the dashboard with the same indicators, the license, the system indicators, statistics. So what are the emails that went through? What is the ratio, spam, not spam, virus detected, and what are the different techniques that triggered? So the dashboard is seamless because at the end of the day, it's kind of gateway, right? It's email processing. But it's slightly different in the way it's set up. So the way it's set up, it needs that FortiMail is aware of how to access the 365 tenant. There we need 3 pieces of information: the tenant ID. So this is a public information. If I know customer domain, I can identify the tenant ID. Within the tenant ID, the administrator will need to create an application ID, an application secret. And this is basically it. This is enough to connect to the 365 tenant and start reading information. So we have a small documentation that explains that there are some access rights to be provided on top of this application ID so that we can read the mail, and we can eventually potentially write email in the name of the different mailboxes that we have.
And Bachir, if we select the endpoint, can we select a different region, let's say Europe or?
Yes.
Global?
Yeah. So this is a new feature that we have in FortiMail. This is mainly that was initially mainly made for the US and China, which have really strong requirement of using the local region.
Mm-hmm.
And now we also introduce, because it's possible, the German endpoint. So that means that if you go to 365, you will go through this entry point. Okay, so it will go, you will force it. So you will not go through a random thing.
Yeah, which is quite interesting. Yeah, thank you.
So I am using, because I want to be in the future, I'm already using for this demonstration 7.2, which hopefully should come shortly. And 7.2 is bringing something that we got strongly required, which is the ability to filter or to secure or to specify the mailboxes you want to secure, right? So that goes essentially to those organizations having thousands of mailboxes. So for those organizations, they may want to use the API for a subset of the users, like 100 of them, because in their setup, this is what they want to do. So this is now possible with 7.2. So you can specify in a fine-grained way how you want to specify the user. So the simple way is the wildcard, the regex, the LDAP. So it's a usual one, but we also integrate with, we also integrate now with Azure AD. So we really talk with Azure using the API to extract the users and allow the possibility to specify them. You can also import the users to be secure.
Yeah, this is great, because one of the Microsoft statement was that you have a better granularity if you work with the Microsoft Defender for 365, because we are integrated with Azure AD while the others are not. Yeah. So exactly. Now we are clearly coming with this new capability.
Yeah. And more to come with integration of Azure. So now we have the tenant. So immediately after that, FortiMail is going to talk with 365, and it will load the user list. It's a demo system, so I have few users. I have Alice, and I have 2 more mailboxes, and a few information, or the most important information is that I'm subscribed, which means that for those users, I'm going to get notification when an email comes in. And to see that, you go into the log, and there you find the last email that reached this mailbox and how they have been processed. So they were not spam, but if they contain any indicators, they would have been processed, and we would have extracted the malicious aspect. So if you are used to the way of using the logs in the gateway mode, it will be exactly the same in 365 mode, using the cross search to session ID and so on. Exactly the same behavior. We have quarantine, system quarantine, to bring the mail within FortiMail. And this is usually done for those email having attachments. You don't do that for spams. For spam, you move in the philosophy of 365 email to the junk folder. So we have our system working, but we miss one thing here. It is the policy. So I'm getting notification, but what am I going to do with those notifications? And what you're going to do with those notifications, that, by the way, can be configured here. So all the notification will be sent to this URL, which matched my URL, right? So this is important, because this information is exactly what we are going to send to Microsoft to tell Microsoft, look, this is where I'm expecting notification. And once notification comes in, then the notification is processed by these policies, okay? And this policy that I've defined here, it's a single one, but you can have complex policies for more granular patterns. This one, we will apply a profile, virus, anti-spam, content, DLP, which are as far as it makes sense, equivalent to gateway mode profiles. You remember the anti-spam profile, how it looked like on the gateway mode? It's 99% the same on the gateway mode, on the 365 mode. So you really find all the things that we support there. Same for antivirus, where you find the antivirus part, which is FortiGuard based. You find the Forti Sandbox, and something completely new I'm mentioning because it's coming here in 7.2. This is the integration with the Forti so-called AI. So we had the name, it was called Forti AI. Now it's called Forti NDR, and FortiMail in 7.2 has a native integration with Forti NDR. So you can decide if you have Forti NDR to submit the mail, which means that we are going to submit the HTML part of the mail and all the attachments there. So the Forti AI is going to make this analysis, this advanced processing, and we see there really good value of and efficiency behind this integration. So
Bachir, if you come back to the previous menu, we see that everywhere there is a default action configured. Yeah. What is that default action consist of right now?
Yeah, this is a good point. Yes. So whenever we have a default, this refers to the top default actions that we find here, which you can have details here on what it does. So this one says that the action would be to make a system quarantine in the folder called virus. But if you wanted to have a different action, you just configure it here and say, for this specific thing, I want to make a discard.
Okay, so all of the sub-action refer to the default or a specific one you can create. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So here I create one. Yeah. So that makes the thing completely granular in terms of actions. So now what is happening? So my tenant is secured in real time. I have policies. I miss an anti-spam. So I will create an anti-spam policy. So this is my anti-spam policy. I should give it a name. I'll give it. I will call it AS inbound, and the default is okay. I will create a new default, which is action personal quarantine. I will call it personal, no, right. Okay, create. So that makes sense to, I would say, the average usage of the API in the notification part. So I'm really happy with this very first step into the configuration, but I miss an advanced approach of something that offers the API, which is the ability to scan mailboxes and immediately remediate. So I could scan if I want to apply my profile, the profile that I have defined, right? So that will scan and apply the profile, and the action associated to the profile will trigger. So we can do that in now immediately, or we can also schedule it. And the same applies to the search. If I have an indicator of something that have reached my mailbox because I've realized it's something that just arrived, for example, the SOC and the SOC analyst is telling me, look, if all those emails having this subject are malicious, move them to junk folders. So I can do that immediately. I will create a task specifying the tenant. So my tenant, or the tenant, what are the sender, the recipient, if I know this information, and what is the profile that I want to apply. The action profile that I want to apply in this particular case is to personal quarantine it, and here add the indicator that have been informed by the SOC analyst. So the subject contains, this is like a offer $1 million within the subject. Okay, so now the action will run. It runs immediately because I asked it to run immediately because it's an immediate action. It immediately refreshes, so it's done, and 0 email were found because I just put a dummy subject, right?
But if you find some mails, Bachir, how can you act on them then?
Yes, so the action defines within the search what you are going to do to the email. And the action, when it applies, will be provided on the outcome of the task itself. So on this particular task, I have detected 3 mails that matched, and those 3 mails, they are not read. So none of my user read the mail. So I really can rest and say, okay, the mails that were identified by my search task are none of my users read it. So Bachir got those emails that are infected, and he read none of them. And what I can do, if I didn't apply an immediate action on my search, is to apply an action on the result of the search itself, right? So you can run a search without action, but you can run also a search with an immediate action. And for those that don't have an immediate action, you can say later on within the outcome, look, I'll take all those emails and personal quarantine them. So I'm going to personal quarantine them. That means that all those users, all those mails are now moving to the personal quarantine, which is the bulk folder of my mailbox. So if I connect to my account, I will find them moved.
That's great. Yeah, really interesting. I have a question, Bachir, on the way.
Yep.
On the Microsoft 365 view, as we're in right now, yeah? Yep. It seems like they are missing the security URL filtering and some categories options. Is that something which will be addressed, or is that something that is coming?
So in theory, we have it already. Huh? So this is, I think the question is about
URL filtering and the categories. Okay.
So I think I understand the question. So we have URL detection that's in, and that's there since day 0. What we had in 7.2 is granular control of IP reputation. That was just missing. I mean, the guys who did it, they just missed it. And that's
okay.
Yeah.
So URL filtering, URL categories, and IP reputation are in there right now. So it is available. Okay.
Yes,
right.
It is available, and the URL categories that you have here, that you specify here, must come from the gateway mode, right? So this is where you find it. If the question is, can we bring URL categories definition within 365, that would be a feature request. I don't think it's a big one, but that's definitely one. What we bring, if we stick on URL categories, what we bring in 7.2 is the ability to enhance the URL categories with self-made categories. So that's completely new, that's coming in 7.2. And it's coming there because we had the request, and it's something that the FortiOS already has. They call that custom categories. So stay tuned. We will have it in 7.2.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
So that's 365. Some reporting that can be generated, and at the end of the day, monitoring of the logs, monitoring of the quarantine, and view of the report with also a Forti view. So we have enhanced a lot. So for those who heard about 365 or this feature, this integration, it has been widely, broadly enhanced compared to the initial stages. And we have talked with BOLL the last months. They have submitted some requests, and I want to say that it's something that's under processing. And one of the requests that has been submitted is the onboarding, right? So the onboarding that I mentioned is that you have to create the application ID. You have to go yourself to Microsoft, to the tenant, bring in the application ID, create a security. So all this process will be seamless in the future, in the sense that I will come into my account view, I will be brought myself, I will go to, I will be redirected to 365, where I will be asked a few things, and I will be brought back to to the FortiMail. So the onboarding will be much simpler. So that we took under consideration definitely, and also other things. But the thing is, we can't promise things, right? So we hear the feedback and we take the best of the feedback and we implement it. So that's basically our approach. So we have full control on the solution itself.
Yeah, it's really good you demo the 365 view, because as you say, there's a lot of improvement, and some of our partners here may not be aware of that. So from the 7.0, 0.3, it's already a great capability, and 7.2 is coming really soon. So that will be even better. Yeah, thank you.
One thing, we talked a lot about it, it's email continuity. So email continuity, short, again, it's the ability to continue reading the email when the back end is out. So here I'm simulating a user, John, on my domain. I gave him access, so I'm securing his mailbox using 365, using the gateway mode, and all of a sudden, all is down, right? So 365 is down, and the backend is down, so everything is down. He cannot reach his email, but still he has access to the FortiMail. So if you know FortiMail, this is, you will recognize the quarantine access. You say, but this is a quarantine access. No, it's more than the quarantine access. If it was a quarantine access, you would see only the bulk part, which would be the quarantine folder, the personal quarantine folder. And what's new with email continuity is that the old quarantine access is enriched with inbox, draft, sent, trash, making it a real mailbox. So this is the mailbox of John, where we can see that he received an email from his good friend Tom. This is a test email I sent him just before, to whom he can even, you can see if I hold the reply, so he can reply, he can reply to all, he can forward the email, and he can even compose an email straight from the email gateway itself. So making it a full featured way of still continuing to be proactive on email side without having access, or after having lost the access to Exchange and 365. So really cool feature. We keep enriching it. So again, stay tuned, more to come on the email continuity.
That's great. It's really nice to see it up and running, as you say, Bachir. Yeah, because it looks nice on the slide, but really retrieve all the mails and reply to user. Yeah, it works.
So I will now move to 7.2, because I hear a lot. Where are you with 7.2? FortiOS is out, and I will take just a few minutes to give you a sneak peek on what it brings 7.2. So again, it's a general policy at Fortinet. We can't promise anything, right? So you know the warning word. So this is committed at the time 7.2 is out, right? So this is the reference. But what is 7.2 bringing? We talked about Dane. So Dane is a kind of complicated, and something else emerged as an initiative of Google in the direction of specifying what is the TLS policy. It's called MTA-STS. And the philosophy of MTA-STS is, okay, let's use things that we have that are simple, PKI and HTTPS. So you will specify your policy in a file, which is on the HTTPS server that the gateway is going to verify using the usual certificate mechanism. As simple as that. The certification, or the document specifying it, the RFC, the recommendation is really simple, few pages. We have also in this direction ARC. So ARC will come within the anti-spam profile. Not too much requirement in ARC in Switzerland, but it might come. FortiAI integration. So there we expect a lot with integration with our own AI detection. So the FortiAI has one advantage over Forti Sandbox is that it's extremely fast. This is AI based. So you must have this big engine that makes this complicated work, but the outcome of the analysis is really, really fast. We enhanced 365, and one of the enhancements that I just mentioned is the ability to specify the mailboxes you want to use. FAS cloud. So we have FAS in the cloud since a long time, right? But there was something missing, is the coupling, the native coupling with FAS cloud from FortiMail. It can be FortiMail in the cloud, it can be FortiMail hardware VM. And for compliance reason, we have seen that it's needed that the logs of the email security, of the FortiGate, the gateway, the firewall, and some other components of the fabric are put in a single place. And we have FAS Cloud has a potential placeholder. So within the log section, right, you have just a checkbox where you say, log my, send my log to my FAS Cloud. And it knows how to do the rest. It knows how to connect to the FortiCloud, locate your FAS Cloud, talk to it, and so on. So this is completely done seamlessly. Swagger, so this is the API. So we have the API, right? It's working nicely. And what was missing is the modern integration with the Swagger framework. And if you come from the FortiGate, this is something really, really nice they have there in the FortiGate, where the documentation of the API is using this framework, which automatically open the doors to a lot of conveniency when using the API. So this is something that's coming shortly. MSSP, as I said, this is really important for us. We have a big focus on MSSPs. We don't want to leave them. So it's MSSP, but it's also multi-tenancy. So when I talk about MSSP, it's multi-tenancy. And two things that we're missing: the dashboard per tenant. I'm a tenant, right? So I'm consuming an email security service from a FortiMail, and the very first thing I'm missing is a dashboard, right? This is all solutions have a dashboard. This is the entry door when you come into any type of appliance, not only Fortinet based. You want a dashboard. So now we offer a dashboard for the tenant. We have the possibility to put customer information on domains, and of course, we are always enhancing our backbone, which is security. Security is always something we enhance on a daily basis. You might not see it immediately, or you might not see it because, or you might not perceive it because it's often FortiGuard based within the packages that we upload on the FortiMail, and some other feature around URL neutralization, a rewrite of URL, DMARC control, and so on. And I call it the MISC section. The MISC section, it's a lot of features. Also, don't look at in detail. The idea of the MISC section is it's a testimony to our customer and partners, where we say, look, there's a lot of things you ask, and we are going to implement it because we find it really really useful for the general audience, right? So when it's good, I would say good enough, and we hear on other places that it might be interesting, we bring it. So this is a subset of the things that we bring. So I don't go too much into detail. And one thing that I want to show you is the utility section. I found it really cool because there we will bring more and more. It's this part, right? The administrator, when the FortiMail is working and working fine, they essentially spend a lot of time within the monitoring part. So they go into logs, they analyze what happened to the mail, which technique triggered it, what happened, is it in the system quarantine, was it discarded, and so on. And they also need tools to work with their daily business. And those tools, we decide to centralize them within the utility part. There you find the known ones that we always had, the FortiGuard query, it's this one. So how are we categorizing a specific domain, specific IP, traffic capture? Nothing special. It's a PCAP extract from the interface. The trace log. So this is more for the support guys. So when they ask you generate or give me the trace log. So this kind of internal tracing of the solution. And we had something that is often asked is a regular expression analyzer, right? So instead of going into website or testing it on the Linux prompt using a sed or grep or whatever, it's now directly integrated into FortiMail. So this is really great. So you can put in the regular expression and you validate and the string to test, and then you have here the outcome of.
You can test if the mail is blocked or not. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
No, it's essentially regular expression. Sometimes we have customers they are going to create DLP rules with regular expression that can be really complex, but they are not sure the regular expression matches a test string. So here they would say, this is my regular expression, and then it's starting, let's say, let's say 1 minus 3 is star, and then whatever, and then it can be really complex at some point, and they might not be sure that FortiMail will recognize it. So they would say, this is my regular expression, but is it matching this string, right? So you can test it, and then did not match. So this does not match that. So there's a problem there. That's the idea. This is more to support troubleshooting of regular expression. And the last one, this is the message converter. It's not a big deal, but it is something that we see often asked by the support, often needed by the administrators when they work with Outlook client. They have message file, right? Because this is what Outlook is going to generate. And what we need to troubleshoot the mail is the EML format. So you can do it right from the FortiMail, and then you just pick up a mail in MSG format, and it will convert it into EML. So no need to go on internet, look for a converter, or open a Linux prompt, or look for something which at the end doesn't do much magic. It's just a conversion tool from one format to the other. So more to come within the utility section to support administration of FortiMail. So this is what I wanted to show I would say in a nutshell, to give you a sneak peek of the coming release.
Yeah, what is really nice is to see that the integration with 365 is really accelerating. We see all these new features. So I think this is really a demonstration that this is for us a strategic solution, a strategic product, and email security is really a part of your success as a partner, in working with your end customers to demonstrate Fortinet's strength. Obviously, we have not demonstrated today the integration with sandboxing. We have not demonstrated a lot of things with, as you said, Bachir, with, the artificial intelligence. All you can do, we can really help you get even more material as you want. So I think we need to conclude, because otherwise nobody will eat. But I think it's great to see the solutions, and as you have any question, any support request, anything in order to engage with your customer, come to me. I will be really pleased to help you. Come to obviously BOLL, Rudy here, and Victor. And it's a great pleasure if you can get additional leads and traction on FortiMail. I think this is our really strategic direction, and I will be keen to work with you very closely. Thanks, Bachir. Thanks very much for joining. And thanks, Rudy. Back to you.
So thank you. We have one question regarding the advanced management because the advanced management service is removed from the VM01 and the FortiMail 200F. Is there, do you think it will come back, or is it removed from these two devices?
So that's a good question. As I said, I can't promise anything. So there, I would say it makes sense to have it in a VM01, because there are features that that are useful there even in a VMO1. It's product management decision. So we had done changes in the past on features that were in a higher end that we brought in lower end. And I took notice of this need, and also I will emphasize to our product management the subscription license with the options, and hopefully we should come with an answer shortly.
Okay, yeah, because the problem is that we have smaller installation base and need smaller devices like a VM01.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then I think we have all questions answered.
Yeah, I think we captured most of the question during the session. Yeah, and by the way, thanks very much for joining. It was a long session. Thanks for staying here and asking all the sessions. Thanks, Bachir, for answering also.
Yes, thanks.
Complex.
Hopefully next time we see us in a physical, so we could have lunch together.
Yeah, that will be with pleasure. I think we can make it for sure. Yeah, with pleasure. Let's do that. Yeah. Thank you again, Rudy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
bye
you.
Bye.
And bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bon appétit.
And see you again.
And
bye.
Pleasure.
Genau, gut.